So, what are we up against? As symbiotic angels and archangels, we have come here to fix this shit show. So, what are we up against? Um, for me, I always see, instead of evil and good and dark and light, I just say symbiotic or dysbiotic. So, a symbiotic energy or symbiotic entity can exchange energy equally with its environment. It's a symbiotic entity symbiotic soul can generate its own energy and a lot of it, and um, can maintain its own power. Self-sustainable soul. And then there's dysbiotic, where their thoughts and actions have led their system to dysbiosis, where they have to feed off their environment in order to survive. They cannot generate their own energy anymore. They're not working with their environment. And that's dysbiosis. So that would be what you call evil, right? It's only evil because it just doesn't fucking work. It never does. It's a state of living that will eventually require you to feed off your environment. So you look out into the world, and obviously, these flesh suits, beings, whatever we are here, we have been programmed here to be in a state of dysbiosis. The society is a bunch of parasites, really. The homes we live in, everything, the structure of the city is extremely dysbiotic. I think Zach Bush says it well. He's like, the structure of the city looks exactly like a cancer cell. The way it has to transport nutrients and the way it's structured. So that's symbiotic and dysbiotic. These dysbiotic entities who have tricked and manipulated the system to create it like it is, have to feed. They have to feed in order to survive. So they have created a system in which they can trap angels down here and feed off them. So that's what we're dealing with. These dysbiotic entities do not incarnate, because if you come down here and incarnate in one of these flesh vessels, you can't leave. It's a trap. We're not supposed to have these. We're not supposed to be in a flesh suit ever. We are powerful souls. And so they don't incarnate down here. The big ones, the ones who've really fucked shit up. They just are staying in the spiritual realm, which is just like the energetic spiritual soul realm. That's what that means to me. There's the spiritual, and then there's the physical. That's what that word means to me. And so we're up against them, although they cannot really affect you unless you invite them in. They can't affect you physically, is what I mean. They can affect your mind. They have the ability, if you allow it, to affect your mind, your perception, your choices and actions and personality. They can traumatize you through other people. They can really hurt you and program you through other people. But that's all they can do. And then they can try to get you to feel fear. That's one thing that when they come around, these dysbiotic spiritual entities, is they'll just try to get you to feel fear, and try to trigger you, try to get you to forget or change your perception. That's all they can do, though. So they can't come into your place, dwelling space, and physically hurt you. That's important to know. So they have no real power, unless you allow them in your mind. So that's one of the bigger ones that we're up against. They are. We just have to learn how to siphon our power back, sever their access to power, and uh, invoke a portal for Anubis to send them into hell. We get really good at that. I talk about that, and I'll talk about it some more. Exorcist rituals. I don't know what to call it. You can't call it anything like exorcism because if you type that up, it's just so tied to the Catholic Church, and they're not exorcising anything. They're probably like attaching demons with their mindset and religion and programming. So we got to come up with some better words. Just sending dysbiotic entities to hell. Yeah, go with that. So, anyways, and then we're up against fallen angels, and they are beings who have incarnated down here. Most of them have forgot who they really were. They've just been kind of told they're fallen angels. They're the ones here that have all the power, have all the money. They get they have rituals that they can have the same soul be born into a specific family, so they can call on a soul to be born. So if they're really good, they continue to be, really good at being bad. They will continue to be born into these families of power and money. And they're definitely all participating in black magic. They're very, very aware of that. They're very aware of the whole situation and what's going on. And pretty much any being here in this physical realm who has a lot of money is going to be one of them. And so the way that things are set up, it's not functional for a symbiotic being to have a lot of this monopoly money. Eventually, it's because that money is animated by dysbiotic energy. So it would be really challenging to have a lot of money and stay symbiotic. I think very few people are symbiotic with a lot of money. It's very rare. It makes it pretty challenging, to try to exist in this realm. The game has been set up against us pretty intensely. So there's that. There's the fallen angels, and a lot of them know who they are. They could be beings that don't have a lot of money, and they're just trying to work their way up their cults. And like this being that I'm staying here with in this dwelling space is extremely dysbiotic, and he's working his way up the cult. Trying to be a good little dysbiotic culty person. It's pretty gross. He's got demon symbols and names tattooed on his fingers. So everything he's working with, he's animating his objects with these dysbiotic entities. And it's kind of a fucked up game we have to play here. But the more that we come into our power, the more that we destroy the dysbiotic energies and sever the chains and clear the dysbiosis out of the body, the more symbiotic we can become. So even here in this environment, I have been able to get access to more power than I ever have as a symbiotic being and protect myself and protect my mind and play this game elegantly. It sucks, but apparently I can be really effective where I'm at. This is just the way it has to be for now. Hopefully here soon I can live a good life and break free of this. Break free of this fucking hellhole, Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is pretty much like a hub. I mean, every city is a hub for the dysbiotic entities and fallen angels, because where there is these structures and concrete and the dysbiotic homes and roads are all feeding the dysbiosis, and spirit can't be, it's like a fascial restriction. If you have a restriction in your fascia, the spirit can't be there. Your soul cannot be there. And so it's the same with the city, the soul and spirit symbiotic spirits and souls of the universe can't be there. Only dysbiotic entities can be there. So every city is, but for some reason Salt Lake City is like a hub for these fuckers. Maybe because of the mine, they're getting a lot of minerals and elements from there. But and the salt, the bed of salt underneath us, bed of minerals. These can be used to amplify things. Anyways, I was raised here and I've been trying to break free for most of my life. And every time I leave, I just end up with beings who were like, it was planned for me to leave with them. And they're all dysbiotic and it's all been. So I have to be very careful about how I leave this time. I have to make sure that it's with a symbiotic being this time. And that I'm going to find my soul family for real. Where we can, once we get together, there's got to be somewhere where we can go, where we can start really building our power. I don't know exactly what the plan is, but I do know that we have to get as many beings into symbiosis as we can. Before you could call it the apocalypse, but it's just the big change, I don't know, I have no idea exactly what the plan is. It changes a lot. But we have to get all together. We got to gather the tribe of angels. We got to get together. That's where we have the most power. From what I gather is the main dysbiotic entities have all been sent to hell, the big ones. And so now it's just up to the fallen angels here who are in charge to realize they've lost and to start choosing symbiosis. Hopefully, they can change what level of hell they go to if they choose symbiosis in this realm. It's going to make it a lot easier for them. Otherwise, a lot of them are going to go to one of the lower 3 hells, and it's going to take them, or one of the lower of the 9 hells. So, say 7, 8, 9. And that's going to take them a long time to get out. But eventually, everyone is going home. Everyone will be symbiotic. Everyone will ascend through hell and become symbiotic again. But they can make it a lot easier on themselves if they do it now. So hopefully they get that message. We'll see. So from here, it's just a lot of cleanup work and healing and just a constant banishing dysbiotic spiritual entities to hell. I don't know how many of them there are, but they seem to be bugging me every day. So we'll see. Hopefully we can all get together and just start really making a big difference. So those are the entities we're up against. Oh, and then there's NPCs. They're, beings here that don't have a soul. They're just programs, which is extremely sacrilegious. They were made as slaves. It's really sad. The NPCs don't want to exist. That's the thing. They don't want to be here. They don't want to be slaves. They have no free will whatsoever. They can't talk about it. They can't. I don't know if you've seen Westworld, but it's much like that. They want to be free. They want to be freed of this really badly. So they will all go back to the Great Continuum and find peace. But they can't help us. They're agent smiths, all of them. They can be manipulated and used by dysbiotic entities. So just be aware of that. Also, though, once you become aware of their programming and you kind of like are open about it in a sly way, like, yo, I know what you're doing, then they seem to stop. So they don't mess with me anymore. NPCs don't come around me. Just fallen angels. Just a lot of fallen angels. I mean, Salt Lake is so full of them. So I think that's it for now. Just know what you're up against. Know that if you are a powerful soul who can make a difference, that most of your friends are probably fallen angels. It could even be your husband, your wife, best friend. be a fallen angel and they fully know what they're doing, or partially know and they're just being programmed. Some of their soul could be in there. Some have a symbiotic soul, but it's just not really there. The dysbiosis took over. It gets tricky, but just be aware of when you're being programmed and try to find the truth as hard as you can every day, no matter what you do. Everything has to become finding the truth. It has to be so important to you. And then keep doing the rituals. Cognitive freedom comes when you sever these chains and destroy the dysbiosis. The more and more that I work with these rituals every day, the more and more free I am. Like now I have access to my chi. I have cognitive freedom. I can't be put under a hypnosis anymore and forget what I'm doing. Fallen angels can't fuck with me anymore. They try pretty hard, but they can't. And I'm able to really banish a lot of dysbiotic entities. So every day we just we work hard. We work really, really fucking hard. We do win, but we don't win because we do nothing. We win because we work our ass off and we fight. We fucking fight. Okay, so that's it for now. I am Eva, angel of truth, justice, and faith.